I moved out here when I was 3 months old. Raised out here when I was 7. And I'm from home.
Oh.
I'm not from prison.
Okay.
I'm Mike, Salt Lake City, been here for 2.5 years. I'm not from Casa Grande either, so.
My name is Monica. I'm originally from Arizona. I grew up there, and I am from Casa Grande.
What part of Arizona?
I grew up in Phoenix.
I'm Suzanne. I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio, but been out here 16 years, and I'm also at Casa.
Columbus? You
Yes,
said?
yes. I don't know nothing about it. I was just born there.
I'm Ohio boy too.
Right on.
Not far from you.
My name is Jesse Stephens. I was born and raised in Vegas. Lived out here most of my life, back in California. And I'm from Casa Grande.
My name is Dwayne. I was born and raised in Dayton, Ohio. I left Dayton when I was 63. I'm from Oakland, California. Originally from Casa Grande too.
I'm Robert Bigham. I'm from Lake Village, Arkansas. Been in Vegas almost 40 years, and I'm from Casa too.
My name is Julia Sucre French. I'm from Carson City, and I'm part of Casa Grande as well.
Okay, Keith.
My name is Keith Burns. I've been in Vegas about 4 years, originally from Orange County, California, and I'm currently at Casa Grande.
Keith was here the first time, right?
Yeah.
Anyone else here? Phyllis. Okay, tell us.
Hi, I'm Rick Clark, and I've been here before, and I love the talk you gave. It's really nice. And hearing from you all the time, Sterling, is really a pleasure. But I've been here for the tournament class, and now I'm just alumni.
And you're where are you now? Salvation Army?
Salvation Army.
Okay, good.
My name is Tellis. I'm a native Vegas, been here my whole life. I stay at Casa Grande. And I was in the first graduating class from Larson back in March 2014.
My name is Zach, everybody calls me Z. I'm from Richmond/Oakland, California. I'm in Las Vegas for about a year. I'm at Casa Grande also. And I'm a couple of things.
I'm Sophia Allen. I was here the last time we came in. I really enjoyed your speech. It was very uplifting and inspirational. I graduated from March 27th, and I just come here to intern, and I live at Casa, I'm a resident of Casa Grande. And I'm born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Okay, Sterling, I thought since we have you here, we could watch this one quick little snip and see what you say about it. Since you would. Oh, this is not a interview. Not that one. This one. To get your take on this.
Don't believe this. Yo. Well, you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's going to be the best kid in the world. This kid's going to be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Did the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world? And you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving how much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you're gonna have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother.
Okay. True. False. It's our professional. What do you say?
You want me to answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay. True. Can I sit down?
Yeah.
So how many people were here the last time or new? Oh, back there. These are all new people. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You sent me the email.
Yeah.
That's right. My name is Sterling McPherson. I'm from Niles, Ohio. I like to say near Youngstown, Ohio, so people would recognize where I'm from. My city is a very small city. And I've been in Las Vegas since I was 19 years old. I came here right out of high school, pretty much so out of high school. And I actually lived 3 blocks from here. I lived over on Casino Center in an apartment, a studio apartment, for about 8 years. I lived in that studio for about eight years. That was pretty much it. I worked here at the Golden Nugget for about, I think, probably pretty much the same, about those 8 years. I worked at the Golden Nugget. And at that time, to be honest with you, actually, I wasn't actually supposed to be in the casino. I was 19 years old. And I got hired by a friend's friend who took me to the Golden Nugget. And it was one of those kind of things where I kind of like just needed a job while I was training as a fighter. And I thought that it was a good fit for me, the Golden Nugget. And I actually ran chains to the pit at that time. And I guess Steve Wayne could get away with anything he wanted to at that time. So I spent the majority of most of my pro career in that small little studio down here downtown, and it kind of gave me a sense of reality from where I come from. And I truly felt like I got a glimpse of what life was really going to be like. To be honest with you, I didn't really know exactly where I was actually headed, but I wanted to come out here because I actually came here to Las Vegas in 1975. I had got out of high school in 74, got out here in 75 that summer, and 11 of us guys actually drove in a Winnebago to California, and we came over here and came to Vegas, and actually we had a chance to meet Muhammad Ali at the Stardust Hotel. He was doing a talk show with a guy who I'm trying to think of his name, Frank Rosenthal. If any of you ever heard it, it was supposed to be a gangster guy, Frank Rosenthal. And Muhammad Ali was there, and Joe Namath was there at the Stardust Hotel. And we got to see him, we got to meet him, and all of that good stuff. And I left there thinking that I was going to be I was going to become a fighter. I mean, although I was already that at that point when I was in high school. I was an amateur fighter in high school, and one thing led to another. And I come back from when I graduated from high school. Like everybody else, unless you actually really pinpoint what you're going to do and got your future set out for yourself, what you're going to do. I was just one of those same guy kids that said, "Hey, I'll figure it out." And something hit me one day and said, "You know what?" I actually tried out for a couple baseball teams. I was a pretty good baseball player in high school. To let me tell you, I was probably better than what I thought. Better than good. I was better. I really was. I was better than good. I hit 325 on the right side, and I hit 318 on the left side for 3 years in high school. I did pretty doggone good. But in those days, baseball players were hitting the ball out of the park, and I was a small guy, and baseball really wasn't. The teams didn't want me. Let's put it that way. They didn't want to slap hitters. So I decided that I was going to turn professional, and I said, you know what? I went to Las Vegas. I've been down there and seen that. I really liked Las Vegas, and I decided I'm going to come to Las Vegas. So I quit my summer job, and I headed to Las Vegas and got that apartment and got that job over here, and things were pretty cozy. And next thing I know, I was fighting at a place called the Silver Slipper on the Strip. I was fighting at the Silver Slipper, and things started to work out pretty good there. And next thing I know, they said, "Hey, guess what? You can't fight here anymore." So why not? You can't fight here anymore. Well, Steve Wynn was buying all of the tickets. Slipper only held 500 people up in that little ballroom up there, and he would buy all of the tickets up and give them to his friends. And they had a little thing at the Silver Slipper. It was a history-making kind of a place up there, and they gave tickets to all the stars. I mean, you would just know. I mean, we're talking the best of stars would come to the Silver Slipper. It wasn't like one of those. It was a weekly series of shows, but it was the who's who of stars that came to Las Vegas. So you could see almost anybody at the Silver Slipper on I'm wild guessing it either was a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night, one or the other. And so next thing I know, I ended up fighting the Caesars. I ended up actually with 18 fights at Caesars Palace. And that was kind of like my get start kind of a thing there. And I kind of, I guess I bounced around a little bit here, a little bit there. Mostly all of my fights, I actually never fought. I never really fought at home. I never fought back in Ohio. I fought in Ohio, but not in my home like a lot of guys did. And so everything that I've ever done was on the road. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because I know what it is to be, I guess, that guy that they hate or the guy that they just don't like, And reality actually set in one time. I was scheduled actually to fight at the Forum in Inglewood, and my fight got postponed, got canceled. Well, the guy got hurt, so they called it postponed, but the fight was out. So I get a phone call. It was like on, Monday or Tuesday. The fight was on Thursday. I get a phone call from my trainer telling me they're going to Oakland, California. You're going to go to Oakland, California. I said, "Oh, great." I said, "When?" I'm figuring it was the following week. He said, "Friday." I said, "Friday? You mean tomorrow?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "Well, this guy was scheduled to fight. His opponent is out, and you got to go. We got to go up to Oakland." I said, "Oh, wow, that's crazy." I said, "Okay." So we jumped on the flight and took off to Oakland, and boy, oh boy, I thought it was one of them, like here at Caesars Palace, 4,500 seat arena. That now 45, like the big fights were in the back of the Caesars Palace with 4,500 people, and that's a big deal. I mean, Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, and Larry Holmes, they all fought in that little arena back there. Well, I get up to Oakland, and Oakland, California, and we go to this arena, and I see all these cars at this arena. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. He says, this kid's pretty popular. I said, "Oh, really? Who is he? What's his name?" I didn't even know who he was. I had no idea. I signed a contract. Whenever I fought, I really never looked at the contract and see exactly. Eddie Futch was my manager, trainer / whatever. He was a great guy, and whatever it was, it was. It was always about, it was never about, I've always was taught that, forget about him, let him worry about me. That's what in my brain was always about. Let him concern himself with me. I ain't worried about him. I know what I can do. I ain't worried about him. So that was one of those kind of days where the first time I actually asked him, I said, well, who is this guy? All of these, but it was like, because all these cars were there, this place was filled up like you're going to see LeBron James play basketball. And I'm thinking, wow, this is crazy. So we got into the arena, and I looked around and said, I'm really thinking, we're going to weigh in and we're going to go somewhere else. This ain't real. This is not really real here. This is crazy. I mean, there was 18,000 people there. And I said, oh my God, this guy must be a real big time guy. So anyway, I think I had at that time, I had 21 or 22 fights at that time. I was undefeated. And so boy, oh boy, I'm just thinking, I'm sitting in that locker room and I'm thinking, you know what? I never really thought like this when I was in other dressing rooms before, but I'm trying to think now, what's really going on here? I couldn't get a grip on this whole thing, And finally, the commissioner knocked on the door and he said they want to check my gloves. And like I said the other night, I said, what are you checking my gloves for? He said, well, I want to, make sure that your gloves are all right. And I said, my gloves are all right. I said, go check his gloves because I want to know who the hell this guy is. I want to check his gloves. So that night was a real weird night. Actually, we went to I went to the bathroom. That's what it was. I went out to go use the bathroom, and this guy was coming to the bathroom to go use the bathroom as well. And I said hello to him. He said hello to me, and he said, "Who you fighting?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "Who you fighting?" He said, "I'm fighting some guy named McPherson from down in Las Vegas." I said, "Oh, really?" He said, yeah, I'm fighting some guy named McPherson. I said, "Yeah, good luck to you." I said, "Good luck to you." And I went back to the locker room and I said to Eddie, I said, "I saw that guy." I said, he's not that big of a guy. He says, "Oh, you saw him?" I said, "Yeah, I saw him in the bathroom." He said, "Did you talk to him?" I said, "Yeah, just, how you doing?" One of those kind of things. He says, "Oh, okay." So the fight starts and it was a weird thing. I don't know how this guy got that far in his life to do all of this, get all these people into this arena. I have no idea. That night, I put 78 stitches in his face. He never fought again. His career was over with. They gave him a split decision. When I took my boots off that night in the locker room after the fight, I dumped my boots out and they were full of blood. My trunks, everything, but my boots were full of blood. I'll never forget that. And, so we go to the press conference after the fight, and this guy comes up beside me, sits down, and he says, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "I'm cool, man. One of those kind of nights, I think I got taken." He says, "Boy, you were in a pretty tough fight." I'm thinking he watched the fight. So Eddie comes and sits down beside me, and I guess the guy went to the bathroom again. Yeah, the guy got up and went to the bathroom, and Eddie says to me, he says, "What do you think?" I said, "What do you mean about the fight?" Come on, what's there to think? I mean, the guy can't see, the guy couldn't do it. And he says, "Well, what did you say to him?" I said, "Say to who?" He said, "The guy." I said, "What guy?" He said, "The guy that was sitting there. What did you say to him?" I said, "I didn't say anything. I just said hello or whatever, He said, "That was the guy." I said, "You're kidding me." This guy, when you're fighting, you don't really pay attention. I never did. At least I never did. Like press conferences and all of that stuff, I never really paid attention to the other guy. I said what I had to say and get the hell out of there. And I never really focused on him. And the guy comes back. When he came back, I looked at him and said, "Jesus Christ, dude. I don't know what he got paid for the fight, but it sure wasn't worth it. It wasn't really worth that kind of money. He had to get a lot of money." But my point for telling you that is that particular night was one of those kind of nights that, in most cases, guys look at that and say, I got screwed here tonight. I got screwed around. And now where's my life headed? where am I going and where am I going with my life? Well, it wasn't that. It really wasn't like that for me. I picked up my pieces, and I think I won like 7 or 8, 9 fights again in a row, something like that. And I was on my way. I was on my way again. I just wanted to tell you that because somewhere along the line we all start over, and that was the night that I started over. And just me now. I've seen this. I've been in thousands of locker rooms, and I've had this conversation with fighters that I've had. I'm a former manager / I'm a promoter now, but I'm a former manager as well. And I've had this same conversation with young guys who believed that their life was coming to an end because they lost this one fight, and they didn't know what direction to take, where they were going to go. They said, "Where are you going to pick up from?" Well, my life was picked up from that night up in Oakland, California, and I figured, you know what? Here's where I'm headed. I'm going to make something out of myself and do something. Well, at the end of the day, in boxing, and I don't know how much Ed's told you guys about me or not, but I don't mind patting myself on the back because of the thing. I was one of the smallest guys in high school where I come from. The reason why I got into the fight business is because I got picked on when I was in school. I was one of those guys that got pushed around and this and the other. And I said, that ain't going to happen anymore. I'm going to make sure it ain't going to happen. I can't keep going to my brother, my uncle, my cousins to get help, So I got to do something for myself. So I just kind of felt like I needed to gather myself together and where was I headed. And I decided when I retired from boxing that I was going to stay in the game, and I became a manager. Guys started coming to me from, from all over the world, because at that time, during that time when I actually retired, I think I retired in 88 or 89, somewhere around in there. And guys started calling me on the phone, would you represent me? Would you do this? And I'm like, why in the world would these people come to I'm a novice. I have no idea what the hell I'm really going to do. This is really going to be like, in the first beginning of this is going to be all bullshit, because, you got to figure out a way to get people to believe in you, that you really know what you're really doing. And at that time, I didn't have that tremendous amount of faith in myself that I could actually really do this, to be honest with you. And as time went by, I had a kid. I get a phone call from a guy in New York City one day. He calls me up. I had 3 fighters at the time. And he says, listen, one of your guys, I had a guy who was rated in the top 7 in the world. And he says to me, we want to fight your guy. And I said, really? Which one? He said, the junior lightweight that you got. I said, oh, really? And he had this guy who was like a big star in Madison Square Garden. And I said, you're kidding me. He says, yeah. He says, what do you want for him? And I said, what do you mean, what do I want from him? He said, well, what do you want for the fight? We'll give you this title fight. What do you want? I said, hey, I could live with $1.5 million. $1.5 million? I said, yeah, man, your guy's a big star. And I said, listen. So he ended up giving me $1 million for the fight, which my guy had never made over $60,000 in his whole career. And so that was my beginning of this young guy as a manager, really showing how he could really do this, that, and the other for a fighter. And a little bit of I know, my guy's a 17-1 underdog in Madison Square Garden. And lo and behold, the fighter comes to me and he says, hey, Sterl, he says, listen, man, he says, before this fight, he says, you got to get me some B12. I said, for what? He says, man, I can't do this shit without no B12, man. I said, B12? He said, yeah, I gotta have a B12. I'm thinking to myself, we're about 5 hours before this fight. I said, where the hell am I gonna get some B12? So I called this friend of mine on the phone in New York, and I said, listen, you're coming to the fight tonight. He says, yeah. I said, I'm gonna leave you a couple of extra tickets. I said, you got any B12 with you? He was a corner. He's a corner man too, this guy. He says, no, I ain't got no B12 with me. I says, you got any bottles? You got any extra bottles with you? He says, yeah, I got lots of empty bottles. I got them. I said, listen, here's what I want you to do. That corner store, he owned a bar and a corner store around the corner from me. And I said, listen, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go into the store. I want you to get a red pack of Kool-Aid. And I want you to take that Kool-Aid. I want you to pour it in that bottle. I want you to bring it to me. I said, I want you to bring me 3 needles. I said, bring me 3. He said, where are you going with this? I said, just do what I tell you to do. Just don't worry about it. So the guy goes, he comes. I said, when you get to the locker room, when you get to the door, I said, I want you to make it plain that you got the B12 with you. Put it in your hand, show it to me. Hey, wave at me like you got it. Because the fighter, once the fighter sees it, boom, he goes, oh, yeah, you got the B12. So he came into the locker room and he signaled to me. I said, okay, great. I told the fighter, meet me in the drink, go in the bathroom so I can shoot him up, right? So the kid comes in the bathroom. He says, Sterling, I love you, man. This is the greatest thing in the world. How did you do? I said, don't worry about it. I said, just let me give you these 2 shots. So I give him 2 shots. And he's jumping. We got about 45 minutes before the fight, and he's jumping around like he's just full of energy. This and that, right? He's jumping all over the locker room. And I said, oh my God. Mario says, he said, Sterling, you gonna tell him that this shit ain't really real? I said, I ain't telling him nothing. I said, don't say nothing to him. I don't tell him nothing. So the guy comes and knocks on the door. It's time to go. And the kid says, man, look here, man. He says, listen, Sterling. He said, I don't care what these people in the Madison Square Garden think. He said, tonight I'm leaving with that belt. He said, if we come back here, we're leaving with the belt. I said, fantastic, man. I can't begin to tell you. I don't know how much you guys know about boxing. You remember a guy by the name of Jerry Cooney? You heard that name before? Yeah. You remember? This kid was an associate of Jerry Cooney. And Cooney was there that night. And this kid, I think he had his name was Billy Costello. He had about, I'm going to guess he was 27, about 20. I think he had 27 fights. He was undefeated. And the next thing I know, I went down the steps when the bell rung to start the first round. I went down the steps and I heard, whoa! And I turned back around. The guy was on the floor. I said, God damn. The guy was on the floor. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? The second round, same thing. He must have knocked him down 6 times, and he wins the fight. So we go back to the dressing room to celebrate after the fight. We're going back to the dressing room, and he says to me, he says, man, I know in my heart, believe it or not, I believe I'm better. I was always better than him, Sterling, but that B12 always gave me a sense of power, when I got it. And I said, oh, really? I looked at him and said, that's fantastic, man. I said, listen, man, this is the greatest moment of your life, and I'm really proud of you. And he says to me, he says, if you wouldn't have got that B12, man, I don't know what tonight would have really been like. I really don't. And I looked at him and I said, let me tell you something. It ain't the B12. It was about you. I said, I want you to get that in your head. It wasn't the B12. It was about you. He don't know it wasn't the B12 because there ain't no B12. It was Kool-Aid. It was Kool-Aid. But the fact of the matter is, in most athletes, if they believe something, if they truly believe it, they really believe it, they make it. The great ones make it come true. They do. That special night, they make it come true. And I'm a believer, not just because of that situation right there. I've been in numerous situations with fighters who were down and out on their luck and didn't have any faith in, really didn't have a whole lot of faith in themselves. And something happens on that special night, and this guy comes up smelling like a rose, and his life changes and turns around for the better. And I've been just, it's remarkable to see those kind of things. And I know a lot of you in here have had tough times. You've been down that road, but it can get better. Life can get better. Things can go your way, even though you may not think so. And right now in your life, maybe you're thinking that, hey, guess what? I don't know if this thing's going to work out right here or what my next move is, this and the other. But if you got that faith and you believe in yourself, forget about the Kool-Aid, forget about everything else, and trust in yourself that, you know what? You may not have the education the other guy got, but you got the will to win. And that will to win is the most powerful thing that you can ever get in your life. It really is. And I'm sure you guys have heard multitudes of people tell you, you know, you can be whatever you want if you truly want to get there. Well, I've seen it with my own eyes. Go ahead, Ed.
Anything, did you ever experience that with Tyson where he was down?
Many a time. Many a
Pulled
time.
himself out?
We were flying to, I'll tell you a better one than that. I'm in Los Angeles. I went to Los Angeles. I'm going to a Laker game. And Tyson called me. I get a phone call from Tyson. And he said, "Where you at?" And I said, I'm outside the stadium getting ready to go into the, watch the Lakers play. And he says, "Man, forget about the Lakers. Come back to Vegas." I said, "Come back to Vegas?" He said, "Listen, I need your help." I said, "Listen, well, let me go watch the game and I'll come back after." He said, "No, you got to come right now." He said, "I'll pick you up." He says, "Well, you go to get a flight and I'll pick you up at the airport. Call me and I'll pick you up at the airport." So I did. I come back to him and he called and he says to me, I get in the car with him and he said to me, he says, "Listen, I just left King." He says, "I signed a contract with Shelly Finkel and Dan Goosen, but they don't know what they're doing." He says, "And I don't know why I did this, but I did it." He says, "And I need your help. I need you to help me." I said, "All right." This is when Tyson got Bid Holyfield's here. And he's now, you know, he got evicted, blah, 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 blah. And he says, "I know you know these people in London, England, and you can hook me up," because me and King were together for about 10 years, about 10 straight years. I worked with King. And through that period of time, Tyson, you know, I didn't have anything really to do with Tyson. I had my own fighters and everything else, but I had nothing much to do with Tyson. And but Tyson knew that I was affiliated with a lot of people around the world with other promoters. And so he said, "Listen, you know this guy in England, and I know you're good friends with him." He says, "But we want to go to England. I want to go to. I'd rather fight in London, England." I said, "No problem. I can do that. I can help you with that." He said, "Yeah, but listen, I don't want you dealing with these other guys because they're just let me deal with them." He said, they'll do whatever I tell them to do." I said, "Cool. As long as I don't get no friction from them, we're cool." So I lined him up with his first fight in Manchester, England, with a guy named Julius Francis. Tyson knocks out Julius Francis. The next fight we went to Ireland. To fight a guy named Lou Savarese. He knocked out Lou Savarese. And then I think we came back to Las Vegas. We had 2 fights. That's how Tyson got back into Las Vegas. We had 2 fights left on that contract with the MGM. And I did those 2 fights. He fought 2 of my guys. One was Francois Botha, and the other one was a guy named Olin Norris. He fought those 2 fights with me. And we're on a plane. So that was then, and this is moving forward. We're on a plane. I'm taking him to China. Me and Tyson were flying to China for a red carpet deal. And he said to me on the plane, he says, "Listen, man," he says, "you know what? Sometimes I just don't know whether or not what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do this." And listen, most of us would never think, like these stars that we hear about, whether they're Richard Pryor, you name the star. These people have bad times too. They're looking for answers. They're looking for. And I actually looked at him on the plane that night. And I said to him that night, I said, "Geez, he's a guy who made almost $1 billion, and he's talking to me, telling me that he doesn't know what his next move is going to be." I said, I really couldn't understand. I couldn't dissect this whole thing. And he says, "Listen, man, I want you to try to see if you can help me out." I said, "Let me tell you something. Only way that I can help you is you got to help yourself. You gotta pinpoint something in your brain and figure this thing out. because you keep, and the reason for his biggest problem, the reason for his is the people that he surrounds himself with. Kind of hit home, right? It's the people that he surrounds himself. All the trouble that he's ever gotten into and the problems that have come upon him are from bad advice. He's just terrible advice. And every time you look up, when we were a while ago, he's been cool in the last number of years, 5 or 10 years, I guess. But before that, every time you turn around, all you have to do is, when you've seen him on television, they're taking him in, look at the guys that were standing there who they're taking him away from. That it's that those were the headaches right there. It took him a long time to figure that out. By that time, obviously, the money was gone. And, when the money's gone, the girls are gone, the entourage is gone, everybody's gone. So, he's now got to figure out a way to hustle and make a living. Hustle and make a living. So recently I've been doing some things with him, Tyson. He's been doing a lot of traveling. I'm getting ready to take him back to China again, in Africa. He does a lot of different things around the world. But that's a good one, Ed. He's one of, but listen, and I'm glad you said that, mentioned it, but it's not just us. It's not just us in here who've had difficult times. Billionaires have difficult times, and they just got to figure out how to, get back up on their feet and run again. That's the bottom line. I've had this, like I said, I've been through this with multitudes of fighters. I've had over 25, 30 world champions in my life, and I don't think that there's one of them that actually didn't have some sort of issues where they were pretty much down and out on their luck or something, and come back to me and said, "Hey, what am I going to do here?" And in my world, you become your dad, your uncle, your psychologist. You end up being everything. So I don't know. It's a strange course at times, but we all have to figure out somehow or another to, get back up on our feet and run. Get back up on our feet. And there's paths out there. If we follow the right path, right paths, and good paths will come to us too. We get in that, what you call that dead end, and you get in that dead end, and you're either going right or you're going left. And if you make the wrong choice. And sometimes when you get to that dead end, I know this for a fact. I get halfway down the road and say, that light's down there, and really in your heart, you should turn your ass around and go the other way. You know what I'm saying? You should just turn around and go the other way, because there ain't no light down there. And we just have to try to make good decisions.
Do you still fight?
No.
No. What's your get up and go whenever you hit a dead end?
I do a lot of running. And I don't work out as much as I used to, but that was my way of comforting myself and trying to figure out what I was going to do when I do have bad times. And hey, listen, the biggest thing for me not to have those bad times, really, to be honest with you, is that guy right over there. I got this guy right here, and I have to make good decisions. I really do. I have to make very good decisions with what I do, because it is just not just me anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's the decisions that I make are going to either help or harm him. So yeah, but when I do have bad times, to be honest with you, I reach for that Bible. I reach for that Bible, and and read through that Bible, and it just seems that every time I grab it, good things happen. I mean, some people don't believe in that, and I ain't forcing that on anybody. But just for me, that guy's good.
What do you do professionally right now?
I am a boxing promoter. I'm a promoter now.
Do you have a place here in Vegas?
You mean like
A gym?
No. I don't have a gym. I run the company. We go all over. We go all over. Yeah, but I actually work out of my house. I have an office in my home, and I work out of my office. Like the shows doesn't call for me to have an office to have people there constantly, day in and day out. Because we're not doing shows every week or every month anymore. Where the boxing's not like that anymore. So now I just I have an office in my home, and when we need for the shows, like I got a show coming up on July the 11th in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we orchestrate. The people are always with me. The publicist is from Chicago. The matchmakers, one's from New York and one's from Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona, and the people that actually bring the rings and do the complete setup. They're from here in Las Vegas. They're from here in Las Vegas. So the people are ready to go as soon as whenever we're ready to go to do a show. Our staff is ready to go.
What's the name of your company?
Sterling Promotions, Inc. I've had that company now for, let's see, I'm going to wild guess and tell you, 28 years, about 28 years.
I heard you say when things are bad, you reach for the Bible. Do you reach for the Bible when things are good? Because I've been in situations where I have unfortunately been in bad situations, and I see a lot of people that, when things aren't good, that's when they go to the Bible. When things are good, they seem to forget about what it is that they reach for when things are bad.
I should have said I reach deeper. I reach deeper. No, but yeah, you're right. I mean, we do our blessings every day, every night. Do we disturb? We do it every day and every night. We say our blessings every day and every night, and we read. So yeah, I'm pretty much an everyday guy.
What worked best for you to motivate champions?
Oh boy.
So it's cool.
You know what? Everybody's different. Every guy is different. Like, some guys, when you're in that dressing room, they need a pep talk, and then there's other guys that you don't have to do anything. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to have to rattle them at all. But in majority of the cases, I'm one of them guys that I'm a rah-rah guy. I'm a rah-rah guy, and I want to see that guy come out of that dressing room fired up and ready to go. Really, really intrigued about doing this. You know what I'm saying? And I tell guys, I used to tell guys all the time, listen, tomorrow you may not be here tomorrow. You understand? So you got to do this tonight. You got to get it done tonight. And it's do or die. It's do or die. Boxing, and really in the boxing world, it really is that. It really is that, because opportunities just don't come along. You hear these rematches, and they're talking about this possibility with Mayweather and Pacquiao and a rematch again, and this, but it is not guaranteed. Don't get me wrong; they made enough; they don't need another fight. They stole everybody's money.
Question. With that being said, seems like boxing has gone to the wayside with UFC coming into the arena, and, the Ultimate Fighting, and this, that, and the other thing. Do you see boxing coming back again?
Well, we don't see it in the United States, but in Europe and other parts of the world, boxing's heavy. There's tons. We do more shows around the world than almost any other activities, whether it's UFC or whoever. There's more fights, boxing matches around the world than there are UFC fights or any other contact fights. But to answer that question, no, you know, I don't really get into a whole lot of arguments about what the UFC and boxing are against each other. But in reality, the Mayweather fight actually shows you what people prefer. What they prefer, they boxing or MMA. In that one night, I mean, it showed you the buys on the pay-per-view were absolutely stunning. Don't get me wrong; it was one of those long-awaited fights. But hell, the UFC would have to do 25 fights to get that kind of number, all in one show, one event. So, but to be truthful with you, they're not the same. There's the high rollers in Las Vegas will tell you that they don't come for MMA fights. The high rollers don't. That's why the Vegas they don't do that well. They sell out the seats because young kids come to see this. Young kids come to see the MMA. That's what they're into. They come, but the buys and the money part of it is just not the same. There's no comparison. And two, unless you're just a real fan of MMA, you're just a real fan. You know those guys. My grandmother knows boxing stars. You understand? All of our grandmothers, our elders know Sonny Liston, Joe Louis, and name guys. Today, I mean, if you put me up here and told me you're going to give me $1 million for me to answer the top 5 guys in MMA, I couldn't answer it.
We have an Italian project here called Ciauturi. Have you ever heard of an Italian boxer called Bubu Mancini?
Me and Mancini grew up about 9 miles from each other. How about that?
Awesome fighter.
Huh?
Awesome fighter.
Yeah, he was a good fighter. We come up in the amateurs together. We never fought each other, but we were good friends. I wanted desperately to fight him. He wanted to fight me, but it never happened. It never happened. We grew up. Me and Mancini grew up together. He's from Youngstown. And I'm from Niles. There was 2 other guys there too. A guy named Harry Arroyo. Well, Youngstown at that time, we ended up with 4 or 5 world champions: Jeff Lampkin, Harry Arroyo, Ray Mancini, Jeff's what the heck's his name? It's about 5 of them, 5 guys. I think 5 of them are still alive. Yeah, so I know Raymond real well. In fact, I was at his fight. at the Aladdin when he won the world title against Art Frias. Yeah. How long you been here?
My whole life.
Oh, okay. So were you at the Aladdin that day when?
No, I was not.
Oh, no? Oh, okay. Yeah.
What's going on with the Beyonce book project?
We're moving, man. We're moving. We're printing books. Yeah, we're printing books. In fact, I'm meeting Mark tomorrow. I got a meeting with Mark tomorrow about the book. We're doing multitudes of books right now. In fact, I talked to Ed about it. I'm doing a Tyson. Tyson's going to Nigeria, and we're doing one for him and Henry Akawande and Evander Holyfield for that project over there that he's going to. Yeah, the books are gonna start to really come up. The NBA, Major League Baseball, they all have shown tremendous amount of interest in the books for as gifts for the gift stores. Yeah.
You say you was very small growing up, and so your fight when you got ready to go into the ring, how did you size up the people that you were fighting? What did you do to make your ego, your stamina come up to defeat that guy? What was your
You know, when I first started, when I turned professional, you mean, or amateurs?
Yeah,
When I turned professional, it wasn't, I was one of them guys. I was like one of them guys that was, I needed money.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was never about anything else than to get, in fact, to be honest with you, I still have, my mom has it, but I still had my first professional check. I got it, it was $140, the silver slip, $140. And I never cashed the check. Yeah, I never cashed it. It was like, what am I cashing the check for? My mother held on to the check. But the point is, it was like everything that I ever done in boxing, as far as a fighter was concerned, was always about money. In fact, a guy grabbed me. There was a fight going on. I think it was at the Mirage. It was at the Mirage, I think. And the guy come to me. The fight got canceled. The show got canceled. And the reason why is because the guy, something happened. They said the guy wasn't going to fight on television. One of the guys wasn't going to fight on television. So he decided he wasn't going to go out of the locker room. And somebody come to me and asked me, would you go to the dressing room and talk to the guy? I said, I don't want to interfere in that, So one of the television guys come to me and said, hey, I want to do an interview with you. What do you think? And I did the interview with him, and he said, he asked me, well, when you were handling this guy, and I convinced him to fight. That's what I do. As a manager of this fighter, I'm convincing him to fight. It's not about the glory of of the boxing, or a lot of guys get caught up in that big heroic thing. Oh, I want to be like Muhammad Ali. And the bottom line is I got a kid over there I got to feed. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna I paid train for 10 weeks, and I'm gonna leave the money on the table because they're not putting me on TV. You got to be kidding me. Are you kidding me? I'm going to fight. I'm interested in fighting. I'm not interested in anything other than getting the money. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Does your body change when you get into the ring like you practice? I tried boxing out. I went 3 rounds, and I was like, the 3rd round, I was like all in. I was like, every oxygen was gone. My the guy was hitting me. All I could do was cover up, but I had something happen. You know what I mean? It changed.
Well, you know what?
You stay for that next round.
It's about it's about dedication. It's about dedication. It's about you being fit for these events. Like for me, and I see guys still do this today, and I don't know why they do it, but for me, I got off of work and I went to the gym. You know what I'm saying? I got out the gym. I go, like years ago, I would run the golf courses here at night, like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, depending on my schedule at work or whatever. But it was all, it was about the training and getting everything done. I'll tell you something. You remember a fighter named Alexis Arguello? You ever heard that name before? He was one of the greatest fighters that ever lived, Alexis Arguello. And when I come out here as a young kid, I always really thought that, I could really fight. I was an amateur kid. I did pretty good in the amateur. And, you learn then, but when you're watching Muhammad Ali, and you're watching, it's like a basketball player watching Michael Jordan. Jordan makes this look so easy. I mean, every kid in the world believes he can be Michael Jordan because he makes it look so easy. Well, that was the same thing when when I was a kid and I got a chance to go to Cleveland, Ohio, and see Muhammad Ali fight. I couldn't live like, Jesus Christ, this is easy. He lays on the ropes, he plays with the guy, touches him on the head. It ain't until you get hit on the chin until you really figure out this shit is real. You know what I'm saying? Is the realism comes in? Yeah, the realism comes into play when you get hit on the chin. You know what I'm saying? Or that last shot, and you've realized, the coach realizes, what in the hell is he doing with the ball? See, he think he's Michael Jordan. You understand? But he ain't got no business with that ball with 3 seconds left in the game. You understand? So those are, to me, the key was always to get yourself physically ready. And I really thought at one time that I was really physically ready to do this before I turned professional. I get a phone call, and I was told that I was going to meet out at Caesar's Palace where they used to do the fights at, and I'm going to train with this guy. And I went out there to train with this guy, and I couldn't believe my eyes. It was like when I first seen this guy, it was a real thin guy, real skinny guy. I said, "Who the hell is this guy?" They said, "Yeah, it's one of the guys." And the guy that used to run the gym here, his name was Johnny Taco. Or where's my man? Huh? Johnny Taco. He owned a gym here called Taco's Gym. And Toko told me, he says, I said, "Well, who the hell is he?" He said, "One of them tall, skinny guys from across the water. He's nothing. Don't worry about him." I said, "Okay." Next thing I know, I said, "Geez, oh man." We started boxing, and I said, "Geez, oh man, this guy is strong as hell." I mean, yeah, every time I grabbed a hold of him, it felt like he was full of iron. It was like impossible to move. And sure enough, when that session was all over with, I realized in that session, these guys are the reason why guys aren't just proclaimed like we as people say that guy's a great basketball player, a great football player, Jim Brown, you name him. There's something extra about them guys. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan ain't just Michael Jordan. He really became Michael Jordan by putting in time. He put in real serious time to become that guy. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing in the fight business. You look at Muhammad Ali, and people say to him, "Oh, well, they don't remember the Muhammad Ali that was 16, 17 years old." And yeah, absolutely. That's that guy who was just, unbelievable. He was an incredible guy. He was incredible. And as he got older, yeah, his abilities of this and that tarnished a little bit. But guess what? He was still this smart guy. He was a real bright guy. He was very smart. So to me, it was like it's the dedication that you put into it, and if you put that dedication into it, and hey, listen, there's guys that can train till the cows come home, and they can't do this. You know what I'm saying? They can't do it. So there's something to the madness about it. Thank you.
I have a teenage son that's a freshman in high school and wants to go pro NBA. And what is your opinion as far as being a parent on the training aspect of a sport and their education?
Well, I want him to get an education first. Because if that don't work, where's he going?
So are your standards for his
Absolutely.
point average, what are they in order for him to play sports?
My son's an honor roll student.
That's basically,
Yeah,
that was the argument
my
me and
son's
the
an honor
judge
roll
had
student.
last time.
And you know what? I stay after my kid, and his mother stays after him. And you know what? Because we weren't, at least I wasn't. I can't speak. His mother was pretty bright girl, but me, I was a street guy in school, and I was a potato chip and soda pop guy, and I really didn't pay a whole lot. All I wanted to do was get out of school. Was get out of school and do something. You know what I'm saying? But there was a price that I paid for that too, because you know what? Years ago when I started to become a manager of fighters. Now you got to do all the paperwork. When the commissioners and this and that, they come to you, and you got to sign this, you got to do this. And, contracts come to you. You got to know what the hell you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And that's where reality set in with me. And I had to actually go back to. I went back to this school over here in Northtown and took some courses on various math, English, and various different, even a history course I took, And I did that because of what I did in high school. I didn't do anything. I did nothing. And I thought I could get away with it. I really thought I could get away with those things. But they always came into play when someone handed me a contract. And I couldn't help the fighter. I couldn't help the fighter because I didn't know what to do. Now what do I got to do? I got to take the contract to somebody else and pay them to look over the contract. And I got sick of doing that. And so I started to re-educate myself on various different things. So I knew then that, guess what? I ain't going to let my son grow up like I did. and steer myself away from that. So yeah, if just me, he knows he can't play basketball unless he brings good grades home.
Yeah, that was my goal. He has to have at least a 3.0 GPA.
Yeah, and if he does it, and he competes well, he's got to have that same desire on the basketball court. You can take it whichever way you want. It's the same desire that you're going to put into school, and I tell him that you got to put that same desire and that same effort. It's in it at school, and you can't do it. He doesn't do anything at night until he does his homework. I mean, it's one of those kind of. My parents weren't like that. I can't blame them that much, but I grew up with 9 brothers and sisters. So it was pretty tough during the time that I grew up. And so what I did learn from that was if I did ever have a kid, that I was going to do the things that my mom and my dad didn't do to make me do when I was growing up. And I pretty much do that.
What was it like working with Don King?
You know what? It was great. It was really, really great. It was a great experience. And you know what? I probably should have paid more of attention to, what was going on around me at the time when I was with him. And he got over on me in a lot of ways. But you know what? I look back at those days and I say to myself, you know what? That was the greatest education I could ever got in my life. I spent 12 years with this guy. I went all over the world with him. And today I can walk into a meeting tomorrow and the best people in the world that are doing a fight, whether it's Aram or you name the promoter, whatever they're doing, I can walk into that room cold turkey and I get a glimpse or hear a little bit about what they're talking about, and I know more than them. I've always believed wholeheartedly that, and King used to tell me all the time, he says, listen, when promoters are having problems, continue to cause confusion. He says, because the more confusion you cause, the easier it is to get what we want. I said, what? And I looked at him and I said, well, what are you talking about? He says, it's easier for us to do what we want to do when they're confused, because see, people that don't know what the hell they're doing and they're not looking for, they don't have the answers to the things that they're doing. He said, the more confusion you cause, the more bewildered they get. He said, they keep getting more bewildered, and therefore you can do the things that you're doing. The confusion. We've done 4 or 5 shows for the year, and they're still stuck on this postponement. And he used to tell me that. He said, listen, man, you just gotta always do what you do and don't worry about them people. So I learned a lot from, I really did. I learned a lot from Don King. Yeah, he probably beat me out of a few dollars, but I got the knowledge from him.
No, it's interesting that you said that, because today the director was brought up Vladimir Lenin and how to start a revolution, and that was part of the premise for studying revolution.
How about
have a small group of people that you keep the secret with, and then you cause confusion amongst them.
That's right, confusion.
That's right.
Well, do you think the prestige and the glamour and glory is going to come back to the heavyweight division?
Will it ever come back?
Yeah.
Somebody will come.
Like
Yeah.
Mayweather done took it all away.
Yeah. You know what? It's destined to happen. It's somebody out there is going to always come around. I truly believe that. Somebody's going to come around. Hey, look how long it took for Mike Tyson to come around. Look how people don't pay a whole lot of attention to that. But it was years for this guy Tyson to come around, right? It was a long time. But somebody will Somebody will come around. We always get welterweight or middleweight or somebody like that. They come around, but the heavyweight division, some guy is going to come around. And they say, well, you know, they're all doing football now. They're all playing basketball now. Yeah, but, you know, hey, Will Chamberlain and them guys were around when Muhammad Ali came around. All those great basketball players and baseball players, big guys. When Muhammad Ali came around, Joe Frazier came around. I mean, God, it was the talent was George Foreman, Kenny Norton, and Oscar Bonavina, and all. I mean, God, the 1970s were just loaded with talent, tremendous loaded with talent.
And did you ever know a heavyweight called Michael Dokes?
Michael Dynamite Dokes. I managed Dokes for about 10 years.
Yeah.
About 10 years. I found Dokes at the he was incarcerated down here. Pardon me? No, that's when he went to prison. Now, when I first, I knew Dokes because I'm from Ohio. He's from Akron, Ohio. Dokes grew up. LeBron James grew up 4 doors from Dokes in Akron, Ohio. How about that? I saw LeBron James play football at St. William. I think it was William and Mary or something like St. Mary's High School in Akron, Ohio. Me and Dokes took me to a game in Akron at the place called the Rubber Bowl in Akron, Ohio. Dokes took me there, and this guy LeBron James was playing football. He was a defensive end, and I couldn't believe. Geez, he was the tallest guy on the field. It was incredible, but he was one great football player. LeBron James was incredible. He was an incredible football player. But Dokes grew up in Akron. I known him a long time. And when he had this drug problem, somebody called me and told me that he was in jail here in Las Vegas. I went and got him. I got him out of jail and took him to. He had to do community service work over at the Golden Glove gym. You remember a guy named Hal Miller?
No.
Hal Miller ran the Golden Gloves at that time, and he ran the Golden Gloves gym down in Northtown. And I took Dokes there, and he did his community service work there. And he had to go and do a rehab thing up in Provo, Utah. I took him to Provo, Utah, and that was the start of Dokes getting back on his feet and getting away from drugs. He went to Provo, Utah for a year. I went to pick him up on his last day, and he told me he was going to stay another year. Yeah, and he stayed another year in Utah. He got out. I brought him back, and he started training at the Golden Glove gym again. He went from 305 pounds to 222 pounds. I did a deal for him in Madison Square Garden for 16 fights. He fought at the Garden. I brought him back. He came back to Las Vegas, and he fought Evander Holyfield at Caesar's Palace in 1989 in the fight of the year. That's how well I knew Michael Dokes.
He had one of them most original laughs I've ever heard. You remember his laugh?
I sure do.
Yeah.
I remember that laugh oh so well. Yeah, he passed away a couple years ago, and I went to Cleveland, Ohio, and he was buried in Cleveland. Yeah, so yeah, I knew Dokes very, very well.
What did he pass away from?
Cancer. Yeah, he had cancer. Somebody else, come on, I'm ready now. I'm ready, come on, man.
Who was your trainer?
Guy named Eddie Fudge.
He's from the West Coast?
No, he's really from Detroit, Michigan. He kind of grew up with Joe Louis, and he actually was the guy who turned Riddick Bowe's life around. Yeah, I remember, me and Riddick Bowe were good friends, and Bowe used to call me all. He wanted Eddie, and Mr. Fudge said he wouldn't mess with him because he was lazy. He says, if he improves, he improves. So Rock Newman, this guy named Rock Newman, who got go out of the amateurs, Rock Newman called me up. He goes, Sterling, you got to help me with this. It's ironic how things happen, you know. He says, you got to help me on doing this, right? And I said, what do you want me to do? He says, you got to convince Eddie to train Riddick Bowe. You got to do this. I said, boy, that's a tough one. Every time he hears his name, Eddie don't want nothing to do with him. I said, I'll try my best. I'll do my best to see if I can get Eddie to help him out. And, you know, every time me and Mr. Fudge went to lunch or dinner or whatever, I'd throw Riddick Bowe's name at him, you know, and this and the other. Finally, one day, he said to me, he says, listen, I ain't going to Baltimore. He says, I'm not getting on no plane to go nowhere. He says, you tell Rock Newman to bring Riddick Bowe to Las Vegas. You bring him here, and I'll work with him. And we brought Riddick Bowe here. I mean, you know, I mean, God, you know the story. I mean, Riddick Bowe turned into be one of the best heavyweights I've ever seen. Really, I mean, he turned into being one of the best. Tyson didn't want him. Lennox Lewis didn't want to fight him. I mean, Riddick Bowe can really fight. And lo and behold, come back to your story. Come back to your that generosity that I had to talk Eddie Futch into getting Riddick Bowe for him to train Riddick Bowe. If you remember back in 1991, after Dokes Holyfield, Dokes got to fight with Riddick Bowe in Madison Square Garden, to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. And how did that happen? That relationship with me and Rock Newman and Mr. Futch. They gave Dokes his last chance. Dokes got $2.5 million to fight Riddick Bowe in Madison Square Garden. How about that?
So besides yourself, who was your favorite boxer?
The best fighter that I've ever seen in my lifetime? Yes. The best fighter that I've ever seen in my lifetime. You know, really, it's a real short. It's a short answer. Roberto Duran. Everything he ever done was on the road. Remember that. No Panama City and this thing. Everything he ever done was on the road. He fought every tough fighter in the world. Everything he ever done was on the road. He didn't never fight at home and, you know, all of that. He came to the United States and fought the best that ever lived. Yeah, he beat Sugar Ray Leonard in Montreal when we all loved our golden boy Sugar Ray Leonard. He went to Montreal and beat Sugar Ray Leonard, hands down.
How about the kids in China, high schools there, in terms of boxing?
Oh, that was great. That was great. Now, as you see, what Ed's talking about is in 2005, I took Tyson to China, and Tyson became the ambassador for boxing for the Chinese government. And through that relationship, you know, the government of China instituted a law to now put professional boxing on the table, and you know, and now they're allowed to fight professionally in China. That was never allowed to be done before. So a lot of these kids now are now able to come here to the United States and participate in professional boxing. In fact, we had the kid that we're going to put on July the 11th in Santa Fe, New Mexico, is a Chinese fighter. He's undefeated in 19 fights with 16 knockouts, and I'm taking him to Santa Fe, New Mexico to fight his first fight here in the United States. And if he wins, he will win. He'll win. I won't say if. He'll win, and I'm going to look to get him about 4 more fights under his belt, and he'll probably challenge either Miguel Cotto or Canelo, one of these top guys here in America, in about 5 or 6 fights. He'll fight one of those top guys. I'm hoping and praying they figure out and they get the real honest deal here, because what can happen is I know they've run out of talent for Mayweather. They've completely run out of talent. There's really, I mean, who wants to see him fight who? There's nobody for him to fight. So Pardon me?
I said Pacquiao with a good shoulder.
Do we really want to go down that alley again? You know, could it be the leg the next time? Could it be the arm the next? You know what I'm saying? What else could it be? You know.
Pacquiao didn't have a chance before that fight
Pardon?
even started. Pacquiao didn't have a chance before that fight ever started.
Well, you know, listen. You know one thing. Let me tell you something. Things happen in fights, and you just never know. You never know the real truth. We never know what the real truth is, and you know, it could have been a number of different things, and or he just got his butt whooped, or you know.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah, one of those kind of things. But in reality is, you know, we say, you know, if the guy had a chance, I do believe in that second chance in life. I believe in that second chance.
Well, you didn't have a first chance when you got him ring.
I know, I believe in that second chance in life, you know, and I think that deep down inside him now, you know, Roberto Duran, and I don't know, you guys are really young people, so, you know,
Thank you.
a lot of you are young, so, but Roberto Duran, if you remember, he had a fight with Sugar Ray Leonard down. It's the second fight coming back after they called it the No Mas. You remember hearing that? No Mas?
No more.
No Mas? Well, when that, you know, he died for that No Mas, to get the second fight with Sugar Ray Leonard, right? I mean, after the No Mas, he died he wanted to get another fight. And if you kind of remember, it wasn't like he went directly to Sugar Ray Leonard. He had to kind of start all over. He ended up, after the Ray Leonard fight, I remember I fought on a card with him in Cleveland, Ohio. Oh boy, I forget the name of the arena. Cleveland, it was the Cleveland Arena, I think it was. Anyway, Duran was a CBS or ABC fight we fought that day. And Duran fought a guy named Nino Gonzalez that day in Cleveland, Ohio. And he won that first fight back after the Sugar Ray Leonard fight. His next fight was a guy named Davey Moore. You remember Davey Moore? Who was an Olympic gold medal winner. Davey Moore, he won the Olympic gold medal. He had 9 professional fights. He won the junior middleweight championship of the world. And Roberto Duran got a chance to fight Davey Moore in Madison Square Garden. It was a sellout crowd in Madison Square Garden. And that's when he redeemed himself. He knocked out Davey Moore. And boy, he won on a real tear. He beat Pepino Cuevas. He beat a number of different guys. He fought about 5 or 6 different fights. And he ended up in a great fight with Marvin Hagler at Caesar's Palace. He ended up in a tremendous 15-round war with Marvin Hagler at Caesar's Palace, Duran. And, you know, but it was just, Hagler was just way too big for him. But after the 13th round, Duran was ahead on all scorecards. But my point for that is that that second opportunity, you just never know with guys, and I've seen so many different guys come back on that second fight and really prove their worth. But am I saying that I think Pacquiao in the next fight would beat Mayweather? No, I'm not saying that. But it's not an attractive fight in the first place. It's not an attractive fight, these two guys, because you're never going to see, I've said this many and many times, you're never going to see Mayweather in a war. His style doesn't fit a war mentality. His style is not fit for that. He doesn't fight for that. He doesn't fight wars. And people are mad at him. They're mad at Mayweather because he doesn't give them the Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns fight or the Hagler and Hearns fight. He doesn't give you the Hawley, Joe Frazier type of a thing, that war to the 15th. He's not, his style isn't made for that. That's not what he does. His style is made for hit you, miss me. Hit you, miss me. That's his style. And people are mad. They went out and spent all this money to go see this guy. They keep seeing it every fight. Every time the guy fights, it's the same thing. And every time I get interviewed with these people and these networks, I tell them, you're going to see the same thing. Oh no, but this time Pacquiao's going to make him do it. Pacquiao ain't going to make him do anything, because the way he fights is not fit for these type of caliber fighters. You're never gonna see him in a war. He could live another 50 years and you're not gonna see him in another war.
I watched your prediction of that fight and I was right on.
Pardon me?
I watched your prediction of that fight on YouTube and I was right on.
Oh, what did I say?
That Mayweather was just gonna fight on the ropes and yeah.
Listen, he did exactly what I thought he was gonna do. And I've been doing this around it for so many years. You see these guys. See, a lot of people they see it, but they don't want to believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They want to what it is, it is. It is what it is, and it's not going to change. And he's going to just listen. He took everybody's money. He should have, because guess what? He whatever they want, whatever way you want to put it, but Clint Eastwood came, Jay-Z came, and you name the so-called stars. They came to Vegas to see this, what they thought was going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight, and they ended up, seeing very little, a very small fight.
Yeah, not to mention the $100,000 tickets that they were selling.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay, everybody, let's give Sterling a round of applause.
All right. Great seeing you guys. It was good.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Sterling, thank you. Absolutely. Great. What's our next? Magazine or?